Master Grogan here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, guess what? We're back with another weekly spotlight show. And who do we have today? Well, you can see her on the screen there. And if you know her name, good. If not, I'm going to give you a big lead in and talk about her bio and all her awesomeness, and then let her come on and say hello to all her fans and followers. So if you're tuning in for the first time, thank you so very much. I know how valuable time is. And the fact that you're taking time out of your busy life, out of your busy day to be with me and be with my special guest today means the world to me. And I promise I'm going to continue doing my absolute very best to bring the best guests, but also the best content to empower you to overcome your challenges, battle through your fears, and stand up to any bully you face, real or in your mind. So we're live streaming to our YouTube channel, Grogan's Bully Proof, our Facebook page. And to be honest, this is only the second time I've done this. So I'm going to jump on over and make sure we're streaming. And I think we are. Let's see. There we go. Well, I got to get back to the top of the page here and refresh it. So we're all learning on this together. But the reason I'm telling you this is because when you pop on here, make sure, oh, there we are. You ask any questions that you have, and I'm going to tag our guest. I'm not going to say her name just yet. If you know her, you'll see it. There we go. That way her friends can see it too. And if you're listening on the podcast, thank you as always. This was a live stream today on Thursday, and then it airs the podcast on Mondays. All right. Boom. We got all that technical behind-the-scenes stuff done. Let's introduce our special guest. She's a heartfelt, inspirational speaker, coach, and author of Triumph Through the Tears and the 5 Gs to a Stronger Mindset. Her passion and purpose is to help women, and I would have to gather to say men as well, but being a woman, she's going to empower women to believe in themselves, stand up, fight back against any challenge, any setback they've ever had, but empower women to fully embrace their health, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, and has led her to open a boutique wellness studio in Delaware. In addition, she's the owner of a purposeful life and wellness coaching to help people find hope through loss and grief. She's a Ziegler certified, and I got to go through the speaker training with her, which was fantastic, but she's also a Ziegler Legacy certified coach, John Maxwell coach and trainer, ACE personal trainer, and she's helped thousands of women transform their lives over the past 12 years. In addition, she holds many wellness certifications, and her passion is to help her community, which is evident in her involvement in countless charities. She's the president of Cure SMA Delaware and South Jersey chapter for 19 years, 9-year participant Dancing with Delaware Stars to benefit moms and house boys and girls clubs, as well as support many others. She also has served as an honorary commander for 3 years at the Dover, get right here, Air Force Base. And most importantly, last but not least, she's devoted to her awesome husband of 24 years, Jason, and Odin, a mom, and 4 beautiful, loving children, Isabel, Blaze, Jake, and her angel in heaven, Stephen. She's passionate about God, running, fitness, community travel, helping women identify their life, their purpose, through a healthy lifestyle. Who am I talking about? Well, my goodness, I've got goosebumps from all those accolades. You see her on the screen here, the beautiful Jessica Moyer. Jessica, how are you today?
I am doing fabulous. Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm very excited. I know we've been talking about this for a while, so here we are.
Well, and shame on me. We met. It was kind of a virtual Ziegler thing the first time with a speaker one, and then we saw each other in June in Texas at the Ziegler Legacy certification, recertification, or whatever it was just an awesome opportunity to be with other Ziegler family members. And we connected right away. And then I promised you that was back in June that we would get this thing done. And then I moved to Florida in July, and I fell behind a little bit. I was trying to find the right app and the right platform. And I used to record these live in our recording studio for the podcast. But since I moved, I no longer have access to that. So I had to find another way. But anyway, it's here. The day is here. Yes. And Jessica's on the show. Yes. Well, Jess, that list of accolades, I hope I didn't leave anything out. If I did, please list some of the other amazing things you're doing. And by all means, give a shout out to your husband, your kids, your followers, your fans, because everyone loves hearing their name on the air.
Yeah, I think you covered everything. I think you got it all in that little paragraph of yours. No, I am just so appreciative of the community here and of course my family and friends. So just ready to get rocking and rolling and see how we can just offer hope to people and to bully proof themselves.
Awesome sauce. And I forgot to turn on the chat, so we might have people actually chatting, and I have not seen that. I'm still learning, folks. Cut me some slack. as always, if you pop on here, make sure you say hi, and then any questions you may have for Jessica. So, Jess, I got to dive right in with how did you hear first about Zig Ziglar, and what enticed you to be a part of the Ziglar family?
Honestly, it kind of happened organically. I'm a John Maxwell coach, and just through other coaches and seeing what people were posting about others that inspired them, the Zig Ziglar name kept popping up. And really up until about 2017, I really wasn't following any podcasts or any self-development. And so I listened to a podcast, and my heart was just felt a connection. And I reached out to the Ziglar organization, and within, I think, a day, Tom, the owner, Tom Ziglar himself, I think, reached out and called me, and I've been hooked ever since to this community. It's just an amazing group of people that want to help themselves to be able to help others. And so just kind of happened organically. I don't know why. I feel like God just kind of called me towards it.
Those things happen. I share that I had never heard of Zig Ziglar until 2012. Unfortunately, it was the right around the time he passed away, and I was watching a webinar, one of the first webinars I'd ever attended and been a part of. And the lady that was conducting it just kept mentioning this Zig Ziglar guy and just kept bringing up all the quotes. And I'm like, holy smokes, who is this guy? And I share often that up until 2012, I didn't know I could read because I chose not to. The group of influences and people I was surrounding myself with, they were fine in their own way, but they definitely weren't. And I talk about this in a lot of presentations. It's in my book, Engines and Anchors. The engines are driving and pushing you to greatness and higher levels, things you never thought possible. And then unfortunately the anchors, and it's nothing against them, that's just who they are. They're tending to hold you back and pull you down, tell you all the reasons why you can't do it. And my limiting belief for years, and it's still a battle I fight, is Richie, you're not big enough. You're not strong enough. You're not smart enough. Richie, you're just going to be this. Why can't you accept that? And, and for the longest time, you plant those, or you don't intentionally plant those weeds, but they get planted, and then somehow they get fertilized, and somehow they grow, and the roots are almost impossible to dig up. But I share they can be dug up because we all have our challenges. We've all got our limiting beliefs, and we've all overcome countless challenges. And that kind of dives into the next step, Jess, with you said kind of God placed it there. Well, there's an old thing with martial arts. It's like when the student is ready, the master will appear. Kind of an old kung fu thing. When you can snatch the pebble out of my hand, you're able to leave the island. Silly stuff like that. But there's a lot of meaning to that. And I say that because it was almost magical the way it happened with my introduction to the Ziglar family. And it definitely sounds like not only with you, but all others I talk about or talk to in the Ziglar family, it just happened. It's like, I don't know how it happened. God just put it in play there. And I'm very big on God works in mysterious ways. And sometimes we're just not ready for those lessons. But when we are, if we're willing to grasp them and take them, and it certainly sounds like that was something and John Maxwell, I had actually heard of John Maxwell and read a couple of his books prior to hearing about Zig Ziglar. And then it was like, oh my gosh. And one led to into the next. And of course, Jack Canfield, Jim Rome, Chris Widener, all people I consider mentors in my life. And it sounds like similar paths that you've kind of crossed there with your learning and lessons in life and being open to it.
Absolutely. I think that's key. I think you have to be willing for something new to come into your life and just be ready for the opportunities.
Yeah. Well, I've got so many things to talk about here, but you just brought up one of my favorite words is opportunities. And the reason I say it's one of my favorite words is because I often hear people telling me, they'll say, well, I like what you're doing and thank you for the inspiration, but I'm just waiting on God to tell me what to do. And a lot of times in the past, I'd just be like, okay, and think to myself, dang, what could I say to them without ticking them off, without offending them, but really drive them? And now I'm pretty blunt and blatant. I just say, look, yes, God is going to tell you what to do, but you have to be willing to take the opportunities when they present themselves. And most importantly, there's no such thing as luck. Luck is when preparation is met with opportunity. So start preparing now for what you can do when that opportunity comes. And then, of course, some people will fight me and say, well, maybe the opportunity never comes. Well, I would rather be prepared for the opportunity to come and maybe not than not be prepared and the gosh darn thing come. And then I'm like, oh, now what do I do? So that's a little thing there. Opportunity. Yeah, take advantage of it. But you can't stand there leaning on the shovel if you want to dig a hole and say, well, God, you're going to dig the hole for me? No, you got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You said you got to put the work in. It's that whole thing with Ziglar. You got to pump the well a certain amount of times. You got to pump it before the water comes. And that's life. We can't expect things just to happen. You got to work for them, and you got to have the desire and the belief.
So, all right, now I got to ask. So you're telling me that everything you've accomplished, this beautiful studio you have in the back, 24 years of marriage, 4 wonderful kids, all your certifications, your books, the Ziegler, the Maxwell, the credentials you have, that just didn't poof because you prayed enough. You actually had to put work in.
If only, right? No,
Man.
it takes hard work, and I think many of us, including myself, we get impatient and we want instantaneous. And I think that's really the way of the world, especially with, social media and all the things right at our fingertips. We're guilty of Amazon, but we have to understand you have to put the work in, right? You have to have that self-belief. You have to block out the outside noise and just keep grinding.
And of course, just like anything, and that's another, I guess, retort is the best word I can get from a lot of, people. They doing a challenge, which, you know what, I'm up for the fight, but they'll say, well, yeah, that's easier said than done. And I'll challenge them. I'll say, well, you tell me one thing that isn't easier said than done. Well, yeah, but that's just a cop out. No, it's not. It's the reality of things. And as you said, Zig, you got to pump the well to get the water. Or another one I always liked when he would talk about, you can't stand in front of the stove and say, give me heat, then I'll give you wood.
Right.
You got to put the wood in first, gosh darn it. Well, good stuff. Good. And I'm sure, Jess, and just to humanize you and your amazing accomplishments, was there ever a time that you just said, you know what the heck am I doing here? I just want to give up and quit on all this stuff. That ever happened?
Just this past weekend.
So it wasn't just weeds from the past. It happens.
It happens all the time. I think we all get down and get discouraged, and there's days where you just feel like you don't want to push through anymore. And it's okay to have those days. You sometimes it's okay to cover your head up for a couple hours, but you got to be resilient. That's life. And, you don't grow, you don't change if you don't put forth the effort. That being said, there's going to be days that are really challenging. There's seasons that are really challenging, but you just got to push through. You got to have mentors in your life, people you can reach out to and say, hey, I need help. And just keep going. Just, one foot in front of the other. A lot of days are like that for myself.
Awesome. And thank you for being so transparent with that, because oftentimes I'm not a believer in the sunshine and rainbow world. One of the way I end every speech is the Rocky speech. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a mean, nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it'll beat you to your knees and keep you there permanent if you let it. And that's true. That's true. Yeah. And I often share it with people. There's a lot of days when I don't want to do the pod. As much as I love talking, as much as I love having great guests and having an opportunity to share the screen with wonderful, insightful people, it's still a lot of work behind the scenes. And there's some days I'm like, I don't want to do it. But you got to do it. And I tell you, folks, on those days, especially those challenging days. So today, today was every day is a good day you're above ground, right? And every day is a good day you're breathing. And I live in the freedom of Florida, so it's a beautiful day. But sorry, Jess, no, you're in Delaware. But there are all those challenges. But when you overcome those challenges, and I tell you, every single time I finish a podcast, I finish a video blog, finish a live stream or whatever, especially a speech in front of hundreds or thousands of people, my gosh, it's just so empowering. And the reason for that is I'm operating in my zone of genius. I am utilizing my God-given talents to be who I was born to be. And when you're doing that, man, you forget about anything else. You forget about all your struggles. You forget about, doesn't mean they go away, but I'll tell you what it does do, folks, is it empowers you to come at them at a different angle. And I compare a lot of things to fighting because that's something, well, I would like to think I was good at it, but I was really good at getting hit. So I don't know if I was really good at fighting or not. But I learned and analyzed, meaning I'd get the tar beat out of me and I think, man, I don't enjoy getting hit with that. Well, what can I do? Well, I can learn. I can battle through. I can overcome. And then that success was so much better. And I always talk about it's easier to get to the top than it is to stay to the top because you lose that competitive edge. But to get there, you got to continue. You got to fight, and then you got to keep fighting. And then, of course, make sure your dreams, your alignment, your whys are all in alignment. So people hear me talk about this stuff all the time. Enough of me. Let's talk about you. So tell me about the book, or the books.
The book. So Triumph Through the Tears is a book I wrote about a year ago, actually, last March, it published. And the book is really my journey of loss. My son, Stephen, passed away at the age of 9 months from a genetic disease called spinal muscular atrophy. And this was about 20 years ago. It'll be 20 years ago in March. And I wanted to share my journey of loss because I went through more loss after Stephen passed, and just offer hope to those, because we all suffer grief. No one escapes this world without grief and loss. And so I wanted to share my journey of how I don't want to say conquer, because you never get over grief. You learn how to manage it. And I talk about the 5Gs in the book. The 5Gs are your intrinsic gifts that we can use every day. It doesn't cost a thing. They're God-given gifts, and they're gratitude, generosity, growth, grit, and grace. And by using these every day, it can really help change your mindset from a negative to a positive mindset. And so I realized through writing this book that I was already using those gifts. I just didn't realize it. And so I talk about that. I talk about self-care a lot. I'm very passionate about that. Taking care of what God has given us. Some of us are born with different issues or diseases or genetic defects, but whatever it is, we take the best care we can of it. That is our duty. And I also talk about resilience in the book. As you know, you got to be resilient. You got to have grit to keep on pushing forward.
Thank you for sharing that. And then I know, I tell you, when we first kind of met, it was over one of these things, because the lockdown was going on for the Ziegler speaker, and you presented your keynote presentation, which you talked a lot about the book and a lot about the grief, a lot about the loss, a lot about the grit, perseverance in order to overcome. And I kind of forgot until you just said it again about the fact that you really never get over the grief, but you learn how to not necessarily manage it, but how to power through it in order to possibly utilize whatever grief you've experienced in order to empower someone else who might be going through that. And obviously writing the book, I've been writing a book for 7 years now, becoming bully proof. We're in final edit now. Hopefully
Yay!
By the end of February.
I can't wait.
We'll be out, but I know how tough that is. And I talk about personal bullying stories, but which were tough for me to talk about. And there were times when I teared up in the book too. And then of course I got a chance to go out and hit equipment in order to get that emotion out. But it wasn't as nearly as heartfelt as the loss of a child. So to write that, to put that on there, out in public print for others to not only learn from, but be as transparent as you were, had to be tough. And God bless you for doing that, because thousands and hopefully millions of people will have an opportunity to not only hear this, but read your book and have an impact and help them battle through whatever grief or whatever challenge they're fighting.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's I definitely was vulnerable in the book, and I always tell my kids I keep things real. Life is tough. I don't know if you can hear the train. I have a train that sits right behind my gym, so it's coming through right now.
That keeps it real. I don't edit anything, so it keeps it real, baby.
I'll be leading a meditation, at 7:30 in the evening, and the train just comes through, and we just kind of crack up. But sorry, squirrel moment. So I just, like I said, I keep things real. None of us escape grief. I don't like to compare my grief to someone else's, because to us it's very real, no matter what it is. And so just knowing that we have someone else there for us, kind of to pick us up, to listen to us without judgment, it's really important to have that. And I think too, when you go through grief, we can talk ourselves down a lot. It's easy to stay down. When you've been through something, the worst thing in your life, it's easy to not want to get up and move forward. So you have to find a purpose. And my purpose when my son passed away was, my daughter was 2 at the time. And I also started a nonprofit in his memory, because it gave me a purpose to keep moving forward. And my family rallied around me, and my friends, to really help in supporting other families that were going to go through this spinal muscular atrophy, to help fundraise. And now there is 2 treatments for SMA. So when you have a purpose, even when you go through the worst things in your life, it pushes you towards the light instead of staying in the darkness. And so it's so important to find something to have hope for when you go through really tough times in life.
Oh, so I almost lost for words there. That was fantastic, because we do get self-consumed in our own grief and our own problems. and they're real, and it's never to take anything away. But I love what you said about because in society today, especially with social media, we're a comparing world, right? We always were, but comparison is a thief of joy. Um, Teddy Roosevelt said that. If we start comparing our grieves, well, yeah, but you don't understand my problems. You don't understand this and that. Well, no one's going to ever understand that. And no one's going to ever understand the loss you went through unless they've lost a child or they've been in your shoes. But what you're doing by saying, look, you're not going to compare your grief to somebody else. You're just going to utilize the tools that you have to try and empower others. That's so powerful because you don't get caught in the pity party. You don't get caught in the victim mindset. You don't get caught in why is this all happening to me? And you may ask those things and you may feel that way. I know I have. And I know I've vocally expressed those years in the past. But I'm like, how in the world am I really helping anybody when I'm playing the victim card? And you have every right to do so with all the griefs you go through. But I'm just saying the way you took that grief and found not only a why, but a passion. And how can I use this to get out of the dark into the light? Oh, gosh, Jess, I loved you before, but son of a gun. That's fantastic. So we had some friends pop up on the screen. James had said the five. Oh, where was it at here? The 5 Gs. Great. And maybe Jess, after we're done here, or if you have access, once again, this is kind of new to me with the chat box thing. If you have access,
I don't see the chat box on my end, so you'll have to fill me in.
All right, I'll definitely do that. But after we're done, maybe go and type in the 5 Gs just as a reminder.
Absolutely.
And if you wouldn't mind just repeating them one more time, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I actually have a free action guide where you can go, and it's like a 20-page action guide. I'm more than happy to share that with people if they want. It's funny, I do. I'm a presenter.
The link on that, on the link on the live stream and anything else, so people can get a hold of you and connect and follow and whatever offers you have to present to them. That's fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, so the 5 Gs, and it's something I actually present at a fitness convention called SCW to help other fitness professionals with their clients. But again, if you focus on these intrinsic gifts, it really takes away from the things that aren't working in your life, right? So again, focusing on gratitude. What am I grateful for today? And you hear so many personal growth and development people talk about that, starting and ending your day with gratitude in the smallest of ways. Generosity. What can I do for someone today? Whether it's texting someone saying I'm thinking of you, or holding the door, just a kind gesture. Growth, listening to a podcast, reaching out to a mentor, learning something new each day. Grit, you got to pick yourself up, got to keep moving forward every single day. And lastly is grace, is being able to forgive not only ourselves, but others. And so with those 5 Gs, it really does help change the way you look at things.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And it's nice that you put them in such an easy to follow guide because, as well as I do, how busy everybody is. And if it's overly complicated, people are going to overlook it. So you put those in nice, 5 Gs. How much better could that be? Well, good. So moving forward with everything you're doing, and we can see if you're watching the live stream here, if you're not watching live stream, if you're listening to the podcast, well, as always, thank you so much for subscribing and listening. But you have to go and watch the live stream on our YouTube channel, Grogan's Bully Proof, and our Facebook page, so you can see the lovely, beautiful Jessica, and you can see her studio behind us. Well, talk about this wonderful, amazing studio and the things you've done to build that up, and what you do there to empower women to believe in themselves, overcome the grief, their challenges, their struggles, to be who they were born to be. Well, we got a small little break in the action. Must have had a little bit of a, but I'll keep talking until we get Jessica back on the line here. Something must have happened with our software. And if, once again, if you're watching on the live stream, please jump on there and give us any questions you may have for myself or Jessica. She'll be back here in just a little bit. And if you're listening to the podcast, Grogan's Bully Proof and Kickin'Life podcast, make sure you subscribe. And make sure on any of our channels, ring that bell so you get notified anytime any new podcast is released or any new live stream is released. Therefore, you're staying caught up. And obviously, if you have any questions or anything you would ever like to talk about, please don't ever hesitate to reach out or to send me a message. And if you're out there and you would like an opportunity to be on the podcast, I'll be more than happy. Just send me a private Facebook message and let me know your credentials and what you've done, and most importantly, what you're doing to make society a happier, healthier, and safer place to live, which is kind of the universal goal of everything we do here with the Grogan's Bullyproof and Kicking Life podcast. So let me see what's going on here with Miss Jess. We lost her. We lost her. Let me send her a message there and see if we can't get her back on the line here. So everybody watching, just kind of hold tight. We will get this rolling again. All right. So while we get that link sent over to Jessica, get her back in, let's go ahead and continue that. I'll go ahead and piggyback off what Jess had said there regarding the 5Gs and, the triumph through tears. We've all have adversity in our life. We've all had challenges in our life. We've all had setbacks. And no, I don't know how much of an impact that has had on you in your life. And just like we don't know the impact that the loss of a child has had on Jessica's life. But what she's done is she's taken that grief and turned that into a tool to help empower others, to help them believe in themselves, to help them battle through whatever challenges they're going through. And that's fantastic. And you may not be inclined to be a podcast host or be a speaker or to write a book, and that's okay. But if you can share your experiences and your God-given talents, whatever those are and whatever those may be, to empower somebody else, oh my gosh, that is a life worth living. That's a life fulfilled. And you have gifts out there. You have strengths. You have blessings that I know nothing about, that probably nobody else knows anything about either. And that's the beautiful thing about our God-given talents is God gives us eyes to see those talents, but not everybody else. So oftentimes we get caught up in worrying and wondering too much about what other people are thinking, what other people, in that society, and I've been plenty guilty of it too, and to times I still am, worrying too much about what others think and not focusing on enough for what I'm trying to do by utilizing my God-given talents. And then most importantly, and listen to this, most importantly, realizing that others can't see what I can see because they haven't been given the eyes to see that. And you just got to realize that, and I say it, I'm going to back up because I know when I say it, I need to listen to myself. That's why I wear the earphones, right? That's why I say half the stuff I say, because I need to hear it most importantly. And that is that. They can't see the gifts that I've been given because they haven't been given the vision by God, just as I cannot see the vision, the gifts that they've been given. But what comes is that perseverance, that grit, the things Jessica had mentioned. And she just sent me a little message here. Her connection is down, but she's working on it, and she'll be back with us in a little bit here. So I'm going to text her back and say, we're here waiting. Yeah. No worries. Be happy. So anyway, where was I at? Squirrel. She said squirrel, and that affects me a lot. But the truth be told, and that is the truth, we often get wrapped up, and I know I've done it for years, and it's one of those things, and I try and be as transparent and open and vulnerable as possible. And by laying my heart out there, there's a risk because there's a lot of bullies out there in society. Obviously, I spent my whole life, and you see the Grogan's Bullyproof and Kicking Life brand is everything I've done in the martial arts for 40 plus years, coaching, teaching for 35 plus years. And it all culminates basically into the Bullyproof and Kicking Life brand. And that is the Bullyproof is empowering kids, parents, teens, adults, anybody with that hope and that self-confidence to believe in themselves, to overcome their fears, battle through their challenges, to stand up to any bully they face, both real and in your mind. And we have those. Those are those limiting beliefs, those weeds I was talking about earlier. That's the Bullyproof. Now, the Kickin' Life
Moyer
is all about utilizing your God-given talents to kick life's butt. Oh, Jessica's back. Yes.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. This is
Hey.
what I deal with here. So, you roll with the punches.
You are exactly right. And Jess just said it. So folks, it's obviously we never like for stuff like this to happen. However, I'm okay with it. And the reason I'm okay with it is because I constantly get emails and messages and people say, well, I'm afraid to do it because what if the internet goes down? What if I lose the host? What if? Well, I always say you can what if yourself to death. So quit what if and let's talk about what is. And what happened? The internet went down. Well, I just kept talking because I'm good at it, knowing Jessica's going to jump back on here and we're
Yes,
going to have
you
something
are.
else to talk about. Well, I
Well,
like to think so in my
I
own
had to
mind.
connect a different way. So we figured out if there's a will, there's a way. So I appreciate your patience.
What was that talk we had earlier about grit and perseverance and
Yeah.
finding a way? So
It would be
Jessica just
real
got
easy not to pop back on. But we're getting this weird weather. It's raining now, it's snowing. So I don't know if that's part of it, but we roll with the punches.
roll with it. And you're in Delaware, as we talked about a little bit earlier. So all kinds of goofy weather up there. Or I guess is I was in Illinois and for 51 years, and now I'm official in a Floridian. So we get one weather. Actually, the truth be told, 2 days ago it got down to like 45 in the evening. It was still 60 during the day, but and then back up north in Illinois, we had like 3 inches of snow or some nonsense. I used to like the snow. I love hockey, and I've got hockey here. Believe it or not, folks, I got hockey in Florida. There's, oh my gosh, there's 3 rinks within an hour, but there's one rink that we go to, and Emmett started playing hockey again, and I'm gonna jump on a men's league, relive those younger days of wanting to be a pro hockey player. But it's 10 minutes from the house in Florida. Hockey rinks, holy cow!
So
But
nice.
apparently, a lot of ex NHLers come down here and they love go to golf. Hockey players and golf go hand in hand, and they join these leagues. So I don't know. There's a 50 and older A league, which is kind of the upper echelon league. I'm gonna have to get my butt back to playing again before I play in that. But there's a lot of ex NHLers in that league, so I'm thinking about sitting on the bench next to an ex NHL player and like, yeah.
That
Hopefully,
is
I don't
pretty
want to drop
cool.
the gloves. But anyway, enough of me and bragging about Florida. Somehow I'm talking about Florida and more people are jumping on to listen. I don't understand that. But normally, like, all right, Rick, fine, I'm done with you, man. Well, anyway, Jessica's back. She's dealing with the weather of Delaware. And we were just talking about kind of what the Bullyproof brand and the Kickin' Life's all about. And Bullyproof's had hope and self-confidence to battle through your fears, overcome your challenges, to any bully you face, both real and in your mind. And we know the one in our mind, the one that creates those limiting beliefs that have been planted, that's the toughest, meanest, nastiest bully we'll ever face, because that bully continues to tell us of all the reasons why we can't do it. Jessica, you can't write this book. You're not smart enough to write this book. Nobody wants to hear about your sob story and all those ugly things that your mind creates. But you battled through and you said, no, and that's the Kickin' Life. I'm going to kick life's butt and I'm going to share my gift in order to help others. Yes, it's going to be painful. Yes, it's going to be tough, but I know my why is what's going to drive me out of the darkness and push me into the light to help others. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have Delaware days of snow and rain and coldness and all that, but you're going to find a way to make it work. It's silly, but just like you did with the overcoming the technical issue.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't go out again, but it could. So I'm warning you.
Okay. Well, we will deal with it if it does. So I see
Yes.
some exercise balls behind us. If you're still in your,
I moved locations.
oh,
But I will say, when you talk about the bully in our head, for me, after my son passed, and then I lost 2 more babies in utero, for me, the bully was loss, right? It was people getting sick or dying. And for many years, I dealt with that. That was what held me back. That's what I was living in fear. A few years after Stephen passed, my dad, he was like my hero, our family my dad was just the rock for everyone. He passed away. And so it was so much loss and grief in such a short period of time that became the bully. That's what held me back from truly living into joy. I felt like I missed out on a lot of life for many years because I was living in fear of what was going to happen next, who was going to get sick, who was going to die. Was it going to be me? So I think no matter what, I think it depends on what you go through in life, that becomes that bully, what holds you back, whether it's you're teased in grammar school or you battle breast cancer and you have fear of that coming, whatever it may be. We each have our own bully. And so really figuring out how you can combat that and face it head on is key to pushing through and living with hope and living with confidence.
Oh, so well said, and I'm glad you really touched on that. Again, especially coming from your perspective, we all have our own bully. I don't know what that bully is in your mind or your past or what you've dealt with. Just like I don't know what bully others are dealing with. But by being as transparent and honest and open as you have been throughout everything you've done, and of course today on the show here, it's going to empower others to do the same. And it doesn't mean they have to share the story if they're not comfortable doing it, but by utilizing this is my why to get out of this darkness that I'm in right now. And my gosh, with all the passings in such a short amount of time, that's just like hit after hit after hit after hit. And then you almost become forgive me, cynical of when's the next shoe going to drop?
Mm-hmm.
When's the next bad thing going to happen? Can I really put myself out there? And of course, we have no idea why you experienced that, why you went through that. And I'm sure there was a lot of questioning and maybe even questioning of God. I know, and I'm openly saying it. I've questioned God a lot in the past. Why is this happening to me? Why are you doing this to me? And I think that's totally normal. But we can't continue to stay in that place. We have to find a way to move out. And as we know, unfortunately, a lot of people are unable to move out of that. But it's people like you, Jess, doing what you're doing. It's going to help empower so many others to see, well, you know what? Well, I thought my life was tough. Goodness gracious, I've never lost a child. I've never lost so many people in such a short amount of time. And here she's on here smiling and talking about what she's done. And she's wrote a book and now she speaks about it. Maybe I can do that. And the answer is, gosh darn, yes, you can do that. So
Yeah.
someone says that to you, or after today's show, someone types a message and tells you, thank you for being so open and transparent. And thank you for doing this. Do you think I can do that? Now, do you get messages like that from time to time? I would think you do. What people ask.
Yeah, I actually had a phone call today from a lady, a potential client, and it was the same thing. She's battling breast cancer, and she wants to start empowering others to take better care of themselves. And absolutely, yeah, if you have the belief in yourself and you have the right tools, you can achieve anything.
And
It's like you talked about with the garden. I love that. Because I actually have a class where we talk about blooming, and sometimes you have to remove certain things from the soil or plant yourself somewhere else. So you have to look around at what it is that, whether it's creating a beautiful garden or if it's creating a lot of weeds, and picking and choosing what is the right environment for you to achieve what you want.
oh, that's really, really good point, because you could have the most fertile seed and you throw it on the concrete. Well, what's going to happen? Well, probably the birds are going to come along and eat it, or the sun's going to dry it out and it's never going to grow into anything. So you may have the greatest lesson, but if you're not surrounded with the right group of people that are going to help you achieve that goal, you're not planting the seeds in the right garden. And this is where I often get some kickback. And at first I would, just like anything else, you're like, well, start to doubt yourself. But now my answer to this, and definitely folks listening, and Jess, use it as well. When people give that kickback of, aren't you supposed to help everybody? Well, the answer is yes. You're supposed to do what you can to empower everybody. But the example I like to give, if a person's drowning and I throw them a life preserver and they push it away, I throw them another one, they push it away. I jump in and say, come on, I'm trying to save you. And they say, I don't want to help. I just don't want to drown alone. So now I'm faced with a choice. Do I go down with them? Or I say, you know what? I've done everything I can, but yet there's 5 other people that want my help. I need to go to them. And oftentimes people say, well, that's kind of heartfelt. You should have done that. Well, no, in the past I would have debated this, but not anymore. Look, if I've got 5 other people that want the help, then I'm going to help with them. Now, it doesn't mean I'm forever turning my back on this person, but I do know this. If I'm with somebody that doesn't want the help, essentially I'm turning my back on the 5 that do. So who's really doing the right thing here? And that's a
Yeah.
tough pill to swallow. But the reality is, not everybody's going to want your message. Not everybody's going to want your help. And Zig had once said, sometimes the worst thing you can do for somebody is to solve their problems, because then they have nothing to complain about anymore. And I always thought, what the heck? Well, you're right. Some people just like to complain. So you've only got so much time on this planet. And if I posted something today about you can't pour from an empty cup. if your cup is completely empty because you've tried to empower, I don't say the wrong group of people that are not ready or don't want your message, then you got nothing left to help out others. And I know many, many, many times I've done that. And when you're no good for anybody. One of my mentors, and just you'll love this, hit me with a right hook reality a few years ago. He was pop. He set me up on it, which was good because that's what I pay him for. But he says, Rich, do you enjoy disrespecting everybody you're meant to serve? And I'm like, I was kind of in a bad mood anyway. And then he threw that at me. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I said, I give absolutely everything I got. As a matter of fact, I only got 3 hours of sleep last night. I haven't seen my kid in 2 days. And I listed all these for me little things. And he goes, well, that was my next point. When's the last time you got more than 2 hours of sleep? When's the last time you saw your kids? When's the last time you took your wife out on a date? When's the last time you meditated? How about went to the gym? I'm like, He goes, my point is, if you're not at 100%, you can't serve at 100%. And he goes, I know you give 100% of what you got, but if you only got 50% in the tank, or in your case, 10% in the tank, you're only giving people 10%. So essentially you're cheating them. So you enjoy disrespecting those you're meant to serve. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that stung. But I didn't like hearing it, but I'm glad he told me that because I know I talk about it all the time. But it goes right into what we were just talking about here too. Yeah, our goal is to empower as many people as I can. And folks listening, if that's your goal as well, God bless you and please keep doing it. But just realize your message isn't for everybody, as sad as heartfelt that is.
Yeah, you are speaking my language. Obviously, I own a gym, and it's, a gym that serves primarily women. And that's what I preach. We take care of everyone but ourselves, and there's nothing left for us. And then we wonder why we feel a certain way, why we don't feel well, why we become ill, why we, have disease. And it's because we are neglecting ourselves. And I think we're all guilty of it. But again, we are given a beautiful gift, and God bless you. And if we're not taking the best care of ourselves, then we're really doing a disservice, because we can't show up for others if we can't even show up for ourselves. And that's, that's what I preach. Even if it's 10 minutes a day, you've got to pour into your own cup. You got to put your armor on first, or you're not going to be able to go to battle.
And what do they always say? I always like referencing this because it ties right in. On an airline, whose mask you put on first?
Yeah.
The oxygen mask. Yeah. Not the other mask.
And I think some people think that's selfish. And I think for me, I thought that for a long time. I take care of everyone else. And then there's a little, might be a sliver, but I use the comparison of a plate, and there's only so much room on a plate. And if you overfill it, you feel sick. And that's what happens in life. We put so much on ourselves, and then we wonder why, we're burnout, we're stressed, we're angry, and it's you got to take that time for self-care. And I don't mean just exercising. It could be meditation. It could be just, what are you fueling your body with? Getting enough rest, having community time, spending time with people that you enjoy being with. And so there's many ways to self-care, but really it's time for people to step back and really look at that, because we see what's going on in society right now too. And it's time to be real with self-care.
And why do you think what do you think women do that to themselves? Is that nurturing nature? I've got to take care of everybody else, and then if I get time, or it always kind of reminds me of the Christmas Story when the mom is serving the dad and the boys dinner, and then as soon as she sits down to take a bite, then she's got to get up because what Ralphie wants more mashed potatoes, and then the husband wants the paper, and then this and that. And he says, I don't think my mom's eaten a warm meal in 10 years.
Right.
Is that the reason for that?
I think it's part of it. I mean, I think there's many reasons. I think it is partly societal, but, we allow it. Some of us just allow it. And we put that expectation on ourselves. And sometimes really there's no one else to blame but ourselves. It's okay to put boundaries and to put your foot down and say, I'm doing this so I can be better for you, so I can show up better for my family. And there's nothing selfish about that. It's really selfless, and it's leading by example for our children. Our kids are watching what we're doing. And if we're neglecting ourselves and beating up our body and in whatever ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, then they're watching that, and that is going to repeat for generations. So we can stop it now and say, this is what's important going forward.
Oh, that's fantastic. And yeah, our kids, they don't seem to hear, just like when I was a teenager, I didn't hear a thing. My parents were saying, but I always saw. And the kids, they learn so much by watching than they do hearing. And but still, don't give up on talking to them, because sooner or later that seed's going to get planted in their head, and they're going, "Oh, hey, Dad, you remember when you told me that 5 years ago?" No, but okay, yes. But no, and Jess, it's kind of funny you bring that. We did a women's self-protection workshop, and we used to do those all the time at the academy. And some of my funnest classes to teach, I call them self-empowerment, because my whole thing was to take women and show, hey, you're a princess. You'll always be a princess. But inside, you've got this warrior spirit, and I'm going to pull it out to show what you're made of, and just give them that sense of hope, that sense of self-confidence. Instead of walking with their shoulders down, they're walking empowered. And they'd leave there like, all right, I dare somebody to come up and grab my shirt. I dare somebody to come up and get in my face. And I'm like, well, don't get crazy with it. But yeah, I want that power you have. But we were doing for, goodness gracious, I forgot what charity it was. There was a hurricane or something. Was a football player that we really like, and there's a lot of them that I like and a lot I don't, but it's neither here nor there. But J.J. Watt, he's in Houston, so he was doing a big was it Katrina? That wasn't Katrina. Whatever hurricane came through Houston, and so we started donating to his charitable cause. So we said, you know, we're going to do a women's self-protection workshop, and 100% of the proceeds are going to go there. So I did, you know, a couple of my promotional videos, a couple of this and that, and we'd get trickles and people would sign up. And then my wife, who does not like being on camera, who does not like giving speeches, she likes being in the background. She came on during one of them. It was kind of she goes, you know what, ladies, we always put ourselves last. We always, you know, take care of the kids. We take care of this. We do this and that, and we put ourselves last. Well, I'm telling you right now, you need to come do this for you. Do this for you so you have the protection, so you can protect you and your kids. And most importantly, if you don't want to do it for you, then gosh darn, at least come to the event to socialize and then contribute to help out others. And I mean, like instantly the class started filling up. Now, I could never say that. Come on, women, you don't do enough for yourself. I guess I could, but it would really feel weird. But by her saying that, and then Jessica, by you saying what you just said, gave me those same chills and those same goosebumps to empower women. Look, gosh darn it, do it for you. You've got to be your best. And I can tell you my story about my mentor popping me by telling me I'm disrespecting those. And, you know, some guys will get that. Some macho dudes will get that. But I'm not so sure all women will get that. And I'm hopeful they do. But you present it in your way, I think that rang a few bells. So that's good. Maybe not a right hook of reality, but maybe it did whatever it did to empower them. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, good. So what's next? What's going on next with Jessa? I was trying to entice you to move here closer to me so we could hang out more, hang out with you.
Never know.
In Florida, but I know it's hard. It's because it was hard as heck for me to leave our martial arts academy. But we got our senior instructor. He's been with me 16 years now. He's managing the academy, and we're in contact with him regularly, and he's doing a fantastic job. And it's allowing me to focus 100% on the Bullyproof and Kickin'Life brand and take that global. It's kind of my goal with that.
Yeah, so, that's awesome. You know, we'll see what's in store for me. I just want to continue to inspire, particularly, I mean, everyone, but women in particular, because I see what's happening. And just to keep moving forward, despite all the heartaches, you know, all the tough times you're going to have in life, to take care of yourself, to work towards your dreams and goals, never to give up on that. You know, sometimes they're put on the back burner, but then that's okay. Life gets in the way sometimes, but just keep moving forward. Yeah, so we'll see where life takes me next. Warmer weather sounds amazing, but we will see what happens.
Awesome sauce. So with that, do you what would you say that being a woman that you see that other ladies are doing other than putting themselves last, and maybe it ties into with that, and I like to say, and this is a harsh word, but disrespecting themselves. And people ask me all the time, what do I think is the biggest problem with society? I mean, that's broad, but I've got it narrowed down now. And mine is disrespect. And I say it because so people lack the self-respect to take care of themselves, to do things they need to do for themselves, to think for themselves, to believe in themselves in order to be their best. And if you don't respect yourself, then there's no way in heck you can truly respect anybody else. And we see that with the criminals and well, I don't want to go down a political rant here, but wrong is wrong and right is right, and justice needs to be served, regardless what it is. And the fact that there's not a lot of accountability for action, I think that leads to even more more disrespect or disrespect for yourself, meaning, you know what, I know it's wrong, but what the heck, I'm not going to get in trouble for it. And that leads down a very dark path, but I kind of swirled it around there. But what do you think that women are doing now, and maybe they've been doing for a long time, and what do you advise them to start to notice it, to identify it, and then what to do about it?
Well, what comes to mind for me is comparison. Is we tend, and I think everyone does that, but I think more women comparing themselves to others, and of course, social media just fuels that fire. And again, we're all guilty of it. But really, it comes down to focusing on your self-worth and prioritizing self-care. And we all have the same amount of time in a day. So how are we prioritizing it? What are we doing? Are we sitting for 2 hours scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, looking at everyone else's life and knowing that half the time it's not even real? It's, we put the best things out there. Or are we using that 2 hours to move our body, to prep food, to spend quality time with our kids, to take a little downtime for meditation, go out with a girlfriend? So it's really prioritizing what's important to you. And we say we make time for what's important. So, take a good look at your life and where your days are going. And if it's not going the way you want or in a positive direction, then it is really time to reevaluate and to prioritize what needs to be done. And again, it goes back to what's going on. It's like the elephant in the room. People that are sick and dying right now are usually have other things wrong with them. Usually, that's not always the case. There's a lot of unfortunate situations, but we have this power to take care of ourselves, and many aren't. And again, there's a lot of times we can't help what happens, whether it's a sickness or an accident or whatever. But people get frustrated. Well, you do have a lot of control. It's, again, what's important to you, and a lot of times it's excuses. That's like my tough love. I'm not like a tough love, or I don't yell, or I mean, I do yell at my kids a little, but I don't yell in my gym. But it's really just prioritizing what's important and knowing that I posted something yesterday that, when soldiers go to war or they're preparing to go overseas to battle or whatever, my husband served in Afghanistan. It's not like you just show up and you go. You prepare for years. And we know what's going on right now with COVID, with cancer, with whatever it may be. We've had this for 2 years now. What are you doing to prepare your body? Because we will get sick. Are you prepared to go to that battle with whatever it is in life? It doesn't have to be sickness, but we are going to be faced with things in our life, and we are not preparing and using the right tools. Then we're gonna get beat.
Wow.
That's my little lecture. Sorry.
Oh, no, that was absolutely
I'm very passionate. And you know where it comes from? Again, my son Stephen didn't have a choice. He was born with this disease. And my dad, who was a doctor, he took care of everyone but himself. He passed away from pulmonary fibrosis and lung cancer. So I have two situations, and bringing those together is where my passion comes from. And so I think you need to almost know that backstory as to why I feel the way I do, because two males in my life died that, one didn't have a choice, didn't have a chance. And my dad, pulmonary fibrosis, not sure where that would have taken him. But if he had prioritized himself a little more, I feel like he would have been here longer with us. That's what I think. I don't know if that's the truth or not.
Oh my gosh. And folks, if you're just jumping on here, we're talking to Miss Jessica Moyer, and my goodness, the list of accolades I listed at the very beginning and everything she's talking about with, she's an author, a Ziegler speaker, John Maxwell speaker, trainer, coach, and she's got her gym here. She's listed the 5 Gs earlier. She's going to post those and post a link on this if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, or if you're listening to the podcast. And once again, make sure you subscribe and smack that bell so you get notified of any new podcast, any new live stream that comes out, so you can be a part of this and learn from us. And then our goal is to share this with others to continue to build what I call our tribe. And our tribe is to make society a happier, healthier, and safer place to live. And the biggest reason I focus on that is because when people are happier and healthier, they're automatically safer. And I mean, happy, healthy people aren't shooting up schools. Happy, healthy. Listen to me. No. Happy, healthy people aren't robbing people, aren't abusing people, aren't bullying people. And happy, healthy people are taking care of themselves, just like Jessica just mentioned here, by putting themselves first. And I know oftentimes they go, oh, I can't put myself first. Yes, you can. And as Jessica mentioned, and if you heard my little thing about disrespecting others by disrespecting yourself, yeah, you've got to put yourself first to be your best. And then how that makes you safer, you're going to be around a lot longer in order to spread those gifts, in order to spread that love, in order to spread your God-given talents to help out others. And then, of course, you can do a heck of a lot more when you're happier and you're healthier too. Being sick, there's an old saying, when you're healthy, you've got hundreds, if not thousands of goals. When you're sick, you've got one. And that one is to get healthy again. And oftentimes we forget that. It's, we would say a prayer, God, please get me healthy. Please get me over this. And, the old days when I was kind of a party animal, God, please get me over this hangover and I'll never drink again. Of course, it was a big old lie. I'm being transparent here. I do my best to be the best Christian I can. I was baptized in 2017, but prior to that, I wasn't always the best I could have been at. I always put forth my best, regardless of what that was, good or bad, which is sometimes is a bad quality. My mentor, Chris Widener, always reminds me that your greatest strength, if unchecked, can quickly become your greatest weakness. And my grandma Bonnie would always ask, Richie, are you putting God first? And occasionally when I was younger, I'd lie to her and say, yeah, Grandma, I am, and blow her off. But she knew I wasn't, and I truly wasn't. And unfortunately, she passed away a decade ago now, but her messages ring clearer now than they ever have. And that's why I try and pass those on with taking care of yourself. Just like you said, Jess, you've got to be at your best. You're not 100%. You can't give 100%. If your cup is empty, you can't pour from an empty cup. And, I give it from the guy's point of view all the time about attitude and effort. And I'm so glad that Jessica gave it from the lady's point of view of, saying what unfortunately women do. And yes, you want to help others, but gosh darn it, you got to put yourself first. And oftentimes that's when the health risks add up, or that's when you're not feeling your best, or the headaches, or your health starts to decline because you take care of everybody except for yourself. Man.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, I know a lot of people develop disease or illness and it's of no fault of their own, and that will probably happen to me at some point. But will my body be more equipped to fight it? I guess that's my message, because I don't want to seem like I'm coming off like that won't happen to you. It will. We will all get sick. We will all die.
There it is.
But,
one thing, we don't have control of that. But what we do have control of is what we do with that time. And I think it gets back to what you were saying. And I'm guilty of it too. And I drifted off the path when I first got here to Florida. I was getting too involved with too many things I probably shouldn't have been in the political realm. And I drifted a little bit. And before I knew it, I was spending hours on social media. Now, I told myself I was doing that to try and develop a bigger following in order to find out what the message was right. And I wanted to believe that. And it's probably what I went into it for. But then I drifted, man. I drifted off, and I didn't have those guardrails in life. And before I know it, I'm in arguments with people I shouldn't be even talking to. And then the hours are mounting up. And I'm not spending time with my kids. I'm not enjoying the beauty that God created. I'm not utilizing my talents. I'm spending time on social media. It's an addiction just like anything else. And, one of the most powerful chemicals in the body is dopamine. And that dopamine hit is that feel good, right? So I'd get a like on a post and I'd feel good and I'd dive right into it. And we all do that. Before we know it, hour, 2 hours, possibly 3 hours have gone by. And like you said, what did I do with those 3 hours? Well, when I would finally break out of the matrix, I wouldn't feel good about myself. I would be angry that I wasted so much time on that. But then I'm like, gosh dang, I could have utilized that time either reading, working on my book, doing things that are going to serve a better purpose, utilizing my why, or helping others, or hell, just spending time with my family.
Exactly. You know what comes to mind? I know we need to wrap up. I think of the quote by Tom Ziegler, what you feed your mind determines your appetite. And if we're sitting on social media or watching the news or looking at things that are not adding value, and again, we all do it. I do it myself, but just being more mindful or set a timer, maybe, okay, I'm going to spend 20 minutes if that's like your downtime, but just being mindful of what's constantly being pushed into our mind because it comes out and sometimes not in good ways.
Oh, so beautifully said. And yeah, we're all guilty of it, but what we do with it now, bringing it up, now we're more aware of it, right? And I talk about it in order, like I said earlier, to I've got the earphones on. Well, once I can hear this, but also a lot of times I'll talk on my presentation. I'll put my hands up here. I said, I'm saying this because I need to hear it too. So I'll put
Yeah.
reverbs back in my own ears there. Well, gosh darn. Well, Jess, thank you so very much for the time and for being on the show and for the perseverance and the grit and dealing with technical issues and everything else.
Yeah, I apologize. Well, here's
Like,
the thing. I could be at my house, but I don't know you. I have a huge Great Dane Mastiff and another dog, and all I would probably hear was the barking in the background. It's challenging with all this with this virtual world. So this is, do the best I can. So
I've got my dog. She's a rescue pet, so she's, I don't know. Her mom must have got around. She's a breed of all kinds of different pets. But her name's Dallas. Well, I'm a huge cowboy fan. I grew up on a farm. My son's name's Austin and Emmett. My daughter's Madeline, and we got Dallas. But anyway, she has to come in here in the office with me during the podcast because any car drives by or well, now it's ducks in the pond. A duck will fly out of the pond or come and land and
oh yeah, yep.
She sometimes will get a lot of airtime. So we're like, okay, we got to bring her up in the office here. So she's laying down with me. But good stuff. Well, folks, thank you so very much for your time and being on the show. Hopefully it was educational and insightful and empowering for you. I know I'm just blessed and grateful that Jessica took the time to be with us today. We've been trying to set this up since June, and now we got her done. So, Jess, I'm going to challenge you with something. And you've kind of seen how this works now. Yes, there's technical difficulties. So I'm going to challenge you. Gosh darn, set up your own little live stream. The app I'm using, folks, and I don't get paid for this, but I'm going to give them a shout out, is Melon, Melon. I did a side-by-side comparison between Melon and StreamYard, and they're both great apps, but I found this one to be a little easier. You set up the stuff in the background. I watched a couple of YouTube tutorials on it, and it's a free version, and then there's a couple paid versions. But I can live stream to my YouTube channel, my Facebook pages, and I'm setting it up for LinkedIn as well. And at the same time, I got my podcast recording stuff, so I can send this to the producers, and they strip the audio off. So we got a live stream and we got a podcast all wrapped up into one. So, Jess, I'm going to challenge you to start doing your live streams because I'm telling you, the world needs to hear more of your message. I know you do a lot with that, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot here by telling you to do this. I obviously shouldn't tell anybody to do anything, but I'm just encouraging you. Gosh darn it, if it's anything, just get that word out to empower women. And something, just teasing you with this, I was doing 3 shows a week. I was doing the Spotlight show, and this is when I was back in Illinois and went to the recording studio, and a Wednesday Wisdom, and then a Feel Good Friday. Well, I'm going to change things up now. I'm still going to record this live stream on Thursday. I'm going to still do the Feel Good Friday, but I'm going to start putting together a Bully-Proof and Kickin'Life Tuesday tip. So it's going to be a short little live stream now that since this is the most popular platform, and I've been playing around with Instagram Reels and something else, trying to figure those things out. They're shorts, but have that. So it's just another little drip, getting that message out and hitting people when they really need it. And as we know right now, anxiety, depression, suicide is at an all-time high due to the pandemic, the lockdown, due to people being isolated, due to people spending too much time on social media and getting that comparison game where, I'll never be as great as Jessica. I'll never be as beautiful as she is. I'll never be able to write a book. No, and of course, God didn't make you to be as great as Jessica. God made you to be as great as you are. But oftentimes we forget to do that. And, I'm guilty of it from time to time. But the more I talk about it, I know, and that's why I'm encouraging you, Jess, to do this. The more I talk about it, the more it's front of the mind awareness and that subconscious mind to not get caught in that comparison trap.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see where that goes. This is very uncomfortable for me, and I know that's how we grow. So we're working on it.
I'm serious. Now, I never would have guessed that. This is uncomfortable?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
It's okay. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. My gosh, you seem like such a natural. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, a
Just
lot of people say I need to be
flowing.
getting and doing more lives and this and that. It's just it is hard for me. And so it's a work in progress, baby steps.
Well, and I want you to operate in your zone of genius, and you know you can see the vision that I can't see that God gave you. But I'm just talking from an outside perspective here, and the times we've connected, and what I've seen today on this live stream. People need to hear your message, and keep. If you're more of a blogger and a book writer, I tried that. I'm more of a talker and being on
Yeah.
TV and camera and
I
stuff.
like to talk.
I know you do, and you're good at it.
Yeah. Well, thank
But
you. I appreciate that. And I
my
appreciate your message. More people need to hear your message as well. So great teamwork today, my friend.
Well, that was a good kick in the teeth to tell me to get that Tuesday tip thing going and quit him hauling around, right?
Yeah,
I put you on
absolutely.
the spot and you fired right back. Oh, yeah? Well, you're going to challenge me. Gosh darn, I'm going to challenge you. Well,
Yes.
good stuff. Well, Jess, thank you so very much. And please, when we're done here, and you're going to hang tight for the closing, that'll be cool. But type in there how people can get a hold of you and the resources that you have, the 5Gs and the books. And, you know, if someone's in the Delaware area that would love to come to your gym, my goodness, put all that information in there so people can get a hold of you. And we'll definitely continue to
Absolutely. I
promote
will
these
work
episodes.
on that after we finish up here.
Awesome sauce. Well, folks, thank you again. A little longer episode today. We usually 45 minutes to an hour. We're a few minutes over that, but no big deal. You got some bonus, right? You got to spend extra time with Jessica. So chalk that up as a win. Of course, you can always listen to this more than once, and that's the beauty of it. You know, we talked about so many different things that there's no way to take it all in. So I always encourage you to go back, listen a second, third time, and then most importantly, share this with someone else that you know could benefit from this message, because that's how we're going to do it. That's how we're going to make society a happier, healthier, and safer place to live. All right, folks, I love you. Jessica loves you. God loves you. Please share that love with the world. And until we talk again, you get out there and do your best. And I promise you'll be your very best. You'll become bully proof. Yeah. And you'll live your best kick in life. God bless you. God bless your loved ones. Chat with everybody real soon. Bye bye. All right. Recording has not stopped.